Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Three Men of Football podcast. All right lads.
Simon, Thomas, how are we?
Oh, I don't know what's happened there, but just got a fit of laughter.
You all right there, mate?
Yeah, I think it was you saying that you're going to pay us for doing this podcast, and Darren saying he's getting the union in because he's not happy with the Labour.
Yeah, but as we've said before, mate, Darren's still thinking about who's going to play him in the movie. So he wants his rights paid.
I've got a new one.
Go on.
Andy Serkis.
For who?
Gollum. For Darren.
Who's that? Who's that?
Gollum
that plays
from
Gollum.
Lord of the Rings.
Again, who's that?
Yeah, that's out of order.
Yeah.
There's no need for that.
I'm presuming he's a good-looking chap.
You probably want to have a look at that on the internet, Daz.
I'll Google that in a minute.
So, how are you finding footy, lads?
It's like there's a World Cup on. There's one every night or two every night.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's great in terms of you can watch a game of footy, but it's a little bit crazy. Yeah. And to be fair, I honestly think the games are getting better.
Definitely.
Yeah, last night's game was superb. Really enjoyed it.
The pace
Football's great, but what's happening is, because there's so much football on, I'm paying less and less interest because I'm not sitting there and watching a game, which I'd like to do. I'm just having it on in the background and doing other stuff.
Yeah, I'm doing exactly the same thing. And there was a couple of good games on yesterday. And the first one, I paid very little attention to. The second one maybe caught about half an hour of it, but the second game was really good. I thought actually the games have really picked up over the last couple of days, all of this week actually.
I think what you're seeing is the players are getting fitter. They're getting used to the stadiums being empty, so it just becomes their new norm.
Yeah.
So, Adam, what's happened to Villa then?
Thomas, we're only 3 or 4 minutes in. Do we have to disappoint the fans already?
Right.
What we've decided to do is give our points to other teams to help them stay up.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad. So let's get to the games that have happened so far. That we want to talk about some transfer rumours and stuff, but let's talk about what's going on with games, because I think then the transfer rumours will impact how teams come out of the fact that they're not doing so well as well, and there's some interesting things going on. But we talked about the games right up until Sunday, and then the Monday game was Crystal Palace versus Burnley. I watched part of it, but I've got to be honest, that just lost my interest really early on. I thought it was a crap game. Yeah,
there wasn't much there, and there wasn't much creativity on show. You know, to be fair to Palace, they're doing all right at the moment. You know, I thought they were going to struggle this year, but I think Roy Hodgson, very well organised. They're not going to go on to a European spot or anything, but I do think they're a decent, just average, decent side, and Roy Hodgson does a good job with those type of teams.
They were boring. They've lost the last two. I can't stand Roy Hodgson. Do you know what? I might even put him on my wall of hate. Honestly, I can't stand the man. Oh,
yeah.
But you know,
Thomas, they were very poor. Liverpool absolutely destroyed them, but they didn't look like they were trying. Burnley have just beat them, and Burnley are really poor, and Burnley are struggling to fill the bench.
Yeah.
So, you know, two poor sides. I'm not surprised in much any of it, Si. I'm not surprised you were bored watching it.
It wasn't good at all, mate.
Yeah. Here's one for you then. There's rumours that Sean Dyche is having a few issues with the Burnley chairman. Be interesting to see if he goes in the summer to another club, because he's Burnley through and through, and I think that could end up being another Charlton if he goes. When Alan Kirbysh left Charlton, they just fell.
I think he's gone, mate. I think apparently the situation is that bad. He's definitely on his way out. I think someone will pick him up. A decent club will pick him up because he's a good manager.
Here's one for you.
He looks like, but
yeah, here's one for you. He could come to Villa.
Yeah, potentially. But depends what happens with Villa, doesn't it?
Well, we'll go Championship, and he'll get us out knowing it's a 3 or 4 year plan.
Yeah,
possibly.
Yeah. Well, then the next game was Brighton versus Man United, and I thought United looked excellent. I thought that was one of the games I actually really enjoyed. I hate watching United, but if you take the fact that it's United out the equation, they played really good football. I thought Fernandes did really well in the middle. Pogba played well. And generally all over the park, they looked like a different team. It's almost like the break has done them a massive favour because they look much more relaxed on the ball.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of. They had major fitness problems, didn't they, and injuries. So that's really helped. They've got Rashford back, Pogba's back. Fernandes has had time to settle into Manchester or wherever he's living. They look a quality side, and I hate to say it, but a few decent acquisitions, and they're really going to push teams next year. And if they can just get a bit of stability and a bit of what's that thing where they play well every week?
Consistency.
That's the word I'm looking for. Get a bit of that, they'll do really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like Fernandez. I thought he's done quite. I didn't know much about him before he came.
No, me either.
I do think he's fits in their team well. Looking at their team, United, I'd say they do need a quality striker. Just some bit of a name really to work around. And I think
depends how Rashford progresses, though, doesn't it? Because Rashford is going to become their number one, but he needs someone, I think, to play off because he doesn't play like a conventional striker, does he? He's all over the place.
And I think they need a centre half as well.
Definitely.
I don't think they're solid enough at the back. And when teams have a go at them, they don't look as commanding as the United teams used to.
Which is funny because they spent 70 million, or was it 80 million on Harry Maguire?
Yeah.
I mean,
as
awful.
Yeah, as Roy Keane pointed out, he got done big time.
Yeah.
The thing with Maguire, I think, is that when he plays in a back three, in the centre of back three, he does well because he's got the people around him to help him out. When he's in a back four, he gets exposed too much. And I think they either need to look at the system or they need to get someone with him who's got pace.
Yeah, but as you know well, that if you play in a back three, you can make the game a whole lot easier because what you've got then is you overload the middle of the defence. When you've got fullbacks, there's too many gaps and he struggles with gaps. And when players get at him with the ball, that's where he really struggles. And in a three at the back, that's difficult to do because you're really compact.
And the thing is, if he gets done in a four, he gets done in the channels massively because he doesn't want to go out there, but he has to. Where if he plays in the back three, the channels aren't there for them because he's got other players around him.
He also chases after the ball. So if the ball drops into midfield and he thinks he's got a chance of getting in and winning it, or the forward drops off and comes deep and he often follows them, he gets caught out. He gets turned easy, or once he's sucked out, he just could run straight past him.
Like kids' football. Just follow the ball around.
Yeah, I've done that for years.
All right, so the next game was, and we've been giving this team a lot of crap, but they played well. Arsenal beat Norwich 4-0. Now, Norwich are not playing well at all at the moment, but they battered Norwich 4-0. It was the first game that Arsenal had actually looked any good.
Yeah, but the goalie had the absolute stinker for Norwich, didn't he? Norwich started quite well and they had the first couple of decent chances, and if they put one of them away against Arsenal, especially how brittle they are mentally, it could have been a totally different game. They could have got the first win after the lockdown and maybe turn this. I mean, they're awful. They're going to go down. But it only takes one spark to ignite the fire, doesn't it? And then you don't know. They might just come up the league and start challenging closer to Villa to get out.
Well, have you been practicing that? You only need one spark to light the fire.
I thought I was to Billy Joel then for a minute. Oh no, he didn't start the fire.
I'm a lyrical songsmith.
Well, I don't know about that, mate.
But I think it's going to be interesting in the summer for Arteta because it's his first real transfer window.
Yeah.
He's signed a couple of players for an extra year or two. Is it David Luiz? I think he's got him for another year.
Yeah, he got a year. But I mean, I don't know whether I'd say that's a good thing. But they're really bad at the back, so at least Luiz has got a bit of experience, but he looks useless.
But what that might be a case of if they let him go now for nothing, at least in January, they might get something for him if they sell him then, or even before the season.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next game was Everton-Leicester. Everton beat Leicester 2-1, and I thought Everton looked great again. I actually think Everton are getting better as time goes by, and Leicester did not look good at all. They got themselves back into the game, but I didn't think they played well at all, which I think Maddison is a key for them, and I think him not being on the park for the 90 minutes makes a big difference. Yeah,
I agree. Vardy was very isolated the first half an hour. He was up there on his own. He did a lot of running. Everton started really, really quick. And the two lads up front for Everton, they've started this after lockdown and excellent. Calvert-Lewin, who we didn't think anything of before and is starting to shine. And Richarlison, who I don't think he was a £70 million, Barcelona, if it was true, bid 70 million for him. I don't think he's worth that. But certainly he's looks good. He's very solid. He puts himself about. And he's getting goals, which desperate for. So
I think what was interesting is Everton's first goal I thought was brilliant. They passed the ball well. The young lad who's come through the ranks at Everton played a nice ball in for the goal for Richarlison. But tactically, Ancelotti got it spot on because after the break, Rodgers changed something. And for 10 minutes, they were all over Everton. And Ancelotti, and as any great manager does, he saw it and changed it. And that was it. Then he nullified Rodgers' change. And I think that's going to be a big, massive help for Everton going forward, is the experience and the tactical knowledge that Ancelotti's got with a group of players who you would argue aren't great. You've got a couple of good players. But in the summer, again, he brings in a couple of players that he likes There's talk of getting, is it Silva or someone from Brazil, the centre half, Thiago Silva?
Yeah, I think there was
He's
chat
from
of that,
PSG,
Yeah, there was talk of that. I think they do need an experienced centre half. I think Keane played well, he's not had a great season, Keane, but I think he did play well. And again, Everton are interesting summer because they've got to get about 4 or 5 players, I think. I think they need a right winger. I think they need a centre half. I think they need another centre mid. And again, you can almost argue another striker.
Yeah, I hear a lot of Blues talking about the fact that they've got no real legs in the centre of midfield. Yeah. Sigurdsson and Gomez, who are quality footballers, good on the ball, but Sigurdsson hasn't done that great. And Gomez is a quality player, but it's just a bit slow.
Yeah, they're going to have to get rid of some players though as well, aren't they? But the thing that stood out for me the most was, did anyone notice Ancelotti's purple rinse? He's definitely dyed his hair.
I seen it on an interview and I thought the screen had gone funny or something.
No, they definitely had a purple rinse.
Really?
There's definitely something gone on with his hair there.
As long as it's not a red one, I think he should be all right.
Well, did you see one of the players and Ancelotti got a load of stick off the Everton fans for congratulating Liverpool for winning the league? Yeah.
Did you see Klopp's message in the Echo when he talked about Everton and Ancelotti and all that? I really like that. As you know, I'm not a bitter fan like some, but I like the fact that there's not as much bitterness between the teams, and I like the fact that the managers respect each other and there's a little bit of kind of, outward respect for each other. I think that's a good thing.
And I also think that's important to show that publicly, because I think there's a certain group of fans on both sides who that hatred's creeping in. I think we talked about it in a previous podcast. I think whatever the managers and the clubs can do to try and diffuse that as best as possible will only help.
Yeah, it helps definitely.
City. Yeah.
So then the next game, which was a real surprise, was West Ham beating Chelsea, especially after Chelsea had beat City. I didn't see that coming at all. And to be fair, my predictions have been pretty good.
Can we just talk about the offside?
Oh, it was terrible.
I've watched it 25 times. I don't know how he was offside. So on the initial, when the ball's played and it hits the guy on the floor, it bounces backwards.
Antonio.
It hits Antonio like on his hip or his side and goes backwards. So the ball's gone back. So Antonio was offside to start with, or the ball's gone backwards, so then he can't be offside.
Now, what they were saying is when he shot, Antonio is in front of the ball.
Yeah.
So therefore he's offside. That's what they're saying.
Blocking the view of the keeper or something like that.
Never.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, it's interesting because it took them nearly 3 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Or something.
Why would it take you that long?
To deal with that. It's either yes or it's so clear.
It's not clear and obvious, then just it's a goal and let's crack on.
And again, it goes back to VAR. And I'm going to put our first for me in this podcast. For me, I think if it's not done within 1 minute, it goes back to the referee's decision.
I wonder if they'll bring something like that in, some sort of time allowed to look at it, and then if you can't reach a decision, then it's not clear and obvious.
Well, I have written to the FA, Simon. You know the influence I have.
Oh my God! Did you send them the 5 fundamentals in the same?
The 5 fundamentals of football and a very heavily worded email.
Oh dear, that's about as close to Darren Swain as it gets, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
I think have they not agreed to have a slightly thicker line for the coming season? I think that's going to be a slight change, so that it's a bit clearer. So the line will, you're not getting offside for a nose. But
for me, it's just how thick do you want the line be? That's going to be another team meeting.
And then someone's going to complain about that, aren't they? So
yeah, and soon you'll be getting Dulux to do like a paint line or something stupid with a 9-inch brush.
As long as it's red, it's okay.
I just think with the whole issue, the advantage should be with the attacker, and I think
definitely.
If what I don't mind is I just look at it and I think the linesman, I get, can't always give them 100%, and I get that fact that sometimes, you know what, if it's an inch in it, no one's going to get it, and to bring in VAR for that, I think's harsh.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do.
But I think that was probably the intent, wasn't it? The intention wasn't to catch the ones that are an inch, but the problem is that once you introduce technology, how can you then say it's not offside if there is even the smallest bit over the line that can score a goal?
And again, if we want to see goals, you want to make the game exciting.
Yeah.
But why don't we almost just say it's 50% of your body's got to be whatever. There has to be something in place, because that's the moment. It's getting ridiculous. We're talking millimeters.
Yeah. It's not fair. Especially last night when I don't know why I cheered West Ham's goal, but I was just made up.
Yeah, Thomas,
I hate Chelsea.
About that.
I hate Chelsea.
But aren't Chelsea an interesting side in the moment? They're so inconsistent. Which is, you look at Frank Lampard, done a great job, I think, at Chelsea. Got the win against City, which obviously Thomas was delighted over.
To be fair, I thought City looked great in that game, and Chelsea looked okay, but City still looked really good. They just didn't finish. And I think if City would have been, if they'd have had a good day in front of goal, it could have been 4 or 5. And I think it's a little bit of a deceiving game. Now, that can happen to any team. Yeah. It's a bit deceiving, but I think getting beat by West Ham, I thought West Ham played really well in that game as well. I thought they were great, and Chelsea were not good at all. But the inconsistency is part of the problem, isn't it? That's one of the reasons why Liverpool have done so well. Yeah, because they've got that consistency.
Yeah, and I just think for what you get from West Ham is a typical Davy Moyes side, well organised, well drilled, and they'll try and get a couple of chances on free kicks, corners, and the counter attack. They won't play fluent football, but they'll get 1 or 2 chances in the game, and they're hoping that they put them away.
Well, tonight you've got Sheffield United playing Tottenham, and Sheffield United are currently beating Tottenham 1-0. It's at Sheffield United, which I'm really surprised about, because I think Sheffield United have been absolutely useless since we came back. Yeah. And then obviously later on we have Man City versus Liverpool. How's the recovery going, Tom?
Me liver's a bit sore.
Yeah, it was.
I think we're going to do a proper podcast on Liverpool, so I don't want to touch on it too much. All I can say is I'm just very thankful that I was able to watch Liverpool win the league with me kids and have a great night to celebrate afterwards, and some of my family on video time, and we had a great night, and I'll probably touch on it a bit more in a different podcast.
We'll do one next week where we focus on the Premiership as a whole, how Liverpool have done, why Liverpool have won it, that kind of stuff, and talk about the celebrations as well. I do think it was a weird way of winning it. It just felt weird, didn't it, with the games going on, and you're wanting Chelsea to beat City, which is weird anyway. And then it happens, and we were on the video cheering about it, but it was just weird. You'd almost want to play the game, which is why I'm really looking forward to them playing tonight, because I think it's going to be a really good game. 2 quality teams that are now on form. That's the way you want to get it won. But I think the relief, given it's been 30 years, the relief was just
that was the big thing, Simon. It's just about relief, to get it done, to get the monkey off your back. Now it's build. Let's build, and let's try and win it again next year, and let's incorporate the consistency that City have got where they're in, the latter stages of all the cups, as well as challenging for the league. And let's see how strong and a good the squad you can build to try and dominate like that. That's what you want to be looking for. Here's
a question for you, lads. The Guard of Honour, how do you feel about that?
Made up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that they're doing it and seeing it through, because if it was Liverpool, the other way around, I'd want Liverpool to do it. Yeah, because that's the right thing to do, and I think it's good of them to do that. But I mean, I seen an image the other day of De Bruyne, one of the best players in the world, and he's outstanding at the minute, is going to be giving Liverpool a Guard of Honour. That says a lot, doesn't it? I mean, players of that level, that quality.
Well, Danny Mills has caused a big stir, hasn't he?
Oh, really?
He slagged it off. He said, what's Kevin De Bruyne doing? Clapping Jordan Henderson onto the pitch. It's an embarrassment. It shouldn't happen.
What's he been watching this year then?
Well, I don't know what. I just listened to the fallout on Talk Sports this morning, and he's apologised and said, we're on live telly. I make mistakes, and I said a flippant comment, and I didn't mean it the way it's come across. But I don't like the idea that Guard of Honour's being done, and I don't think. If you've got one of the best players in the world in the opposition clapping players that are not fit to lace his boots, and I'm thinking it's not the right way to be coming across.
Thomas, I think that's irrelevant what he's saying, because I just think the team have won it, not individuals. So therefore, would Messi or Ronaldo never clap anyone? What it does show, it shows a respect that we need in the game. It shows a respect for the young players who are watching it. for the fans watching it to go, do you know what? That's the right thing to do. Whether it's Liverpool, City, United, Everton, whoever, we have to put respect back in the game if it's going to move forward. What City are doing now is brilliant. I think it's respect to the club, respect for Liverpool, respect for the game. And Pep Guardiola, knowing him like I do, as you know, I'm one of his good mates. Knowing him like I do, he wouldn't. His morals are so high that he would expect people to do it for him, so he does it for everyone else.
Of course.
But going back to that, Darren, going back to Danny Mills's comments, do you think, not being a Liverpool fan, do you think Jordan Henderson's going to win Player of the Year? And do you think, and if he do you think he deserves it?
That's a really good question. Now, it depends. If you're talking about playing as an ability, as in technical ability, the answer is no. If you're talking about a player who drives his team on and gets the best out of what he's got every chance, yeah.
I don't.
You didn't answer it.
Because I don't think he'll get it. Personally, I don't think he'll get it. But it depends what you're looking for in Player of the Year.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get it. But if you think about when we played at a reasonable level, Daz, you're looking at players who are consistent, who deliver every week. So if we were voting for Player of the Year, we wouldn't necessarily vote for the most skillful player. We would vote for the person who has given their all, been there every week, contributed to the club, supported his teammates. So he would be a perfect candidate. However, I do think when you look at the people who win things like Player of the Year, you do tend to get flashier players. You do tend to get people that make more of an impact, like the De Bruyne's.
You know what, Simon? That's the nice thing you've ever said to me, because I won 3 years on the run for our team. Bribery.
I tried to kill that vote.
Yeah, but to be fair to what you're saying is consistency is crucial, because players know. I mean, I was always a 6, 7 out of 10 every week. Where I had other players around me who were a 9 out of 10, then they'd go to a 5, they go to 8, they go to a 9, they go to a 6. And it's like, I think Jordan Henderson, what he's got in his game, or 2, that was mostly me. What he's got in his game is that consistency. And he stepped up on many times, not just in football, but outside the game as well. And I'm not his biggest fan in terms of what he does on the football field. However, as a person and as a man and as someone who's made the best of his ability, I don't think there's anyone out there who's up with him on that.
Yeah, brilliant. I seen a picture of him and they showed a picture of him as a kid when he was like a teenager, with his like scraggly hair, and he looked a mess. And like, can you believe this person's going to lift the Premier League trophy?
And it's dreams what come true. You know what, you saw him win his dad. You saw him with his dad. I mean, that's fantastic.
The Champions League final, that was amazing.
Yeah. I went to give my dad a hug, and he just looked at me and said, "I don't know who you are."
I'm surprised he didn't slap you on the face and say, "Pull your socks up. What are you doing?"
All right, so let's get to the games that are coming up. So we've got Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games. So on Saturday, the first game is Norwich and Brighton. Obviously, Norwich not that interesting, but Brighton does for you. And for Villa, that's a big one. So Norwich have lost 3 in a row and do not look good at all. Just got hammered by Arsenal. And Brighton have won 1, lost 1, and drawn 1. No consistency, just got hammered by United. I think that this is a game much more for Brighton to win, depending on how Norwich come out of this game with Arsenal.
Yeah, I think Brighton will win this. I think, and if they win it, I think they're more or less safe. I think that's how big the game is. I think if I would love Norwich to win it, because actually what it does do, it keeps us in touch with Brighton just a little bit. I can't see it. I think Norwich resign themselves to going down. I think they're almost giving 1 or 2 players a go that maybe wouldn't have had a go. But I just need them to beat Brighton. I would love it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a decent game to watch though, because I think it'll be pretty open.
Yeah, I think they're both decent. Both teams are decent footballers on the day. And I hope they won't play too safe in the first half. But I hope they go out with a good pace, set the game up, get an early goal in the first 10, 15 minutes, and then let's see what happens.
I think Norwich think that they're definitely done now. So I think the pressure's off. The players will have a good go at Brighton. I fancy a draw in this one.
But if Brighton win it, they go to 36 points. So then, in theory, they're more or less safe at that stage. So there's a big incentive for them there.
Yeah.
And who's the Brighton manager now? Is it Graham Potter or something? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a decent job there under difficult circumstances. It'd be good for him to get a win.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next one is Leicester versus Crystal Palace. So Leicester in third, Crystal Palace in 12th. Leicester have drawn 2 and lost 1 since they come back, and they got beat by Everton. And again, I don't think they look good at all against Everton. And then Crystal Palace have won 1 and lost 2, and were beat by Bournemouth in the last game. So personally, I think they beat Bournemouth. They were beat by Burnley and Liverpool in the 3 games. I think that's a Leicester win all day because I think they'll come out strong. I think Vardy will be on fire. I think Maddison will be back, and I think they'll take them to the cleaners. That could be 3 or 4-0.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think after the poor performance first half, and especially how isolated Vardy was against Everton, they've got something to prove. And also, they're still in with a great chance of the top 4. So every game's really important for them. So they're going to have to go out there. Palace are playing for nothing.
Yeah.
They haven't signed up since the lockdown. You know, they're not showing any fight or desire. Leicester win all day.
I think the key to Leicester is Maddison, like you said before, Simon. When he doesn't play, do you lose something in the team? I think Palace will set up like a Roy Hodgson side. Structure will be there. So they won't go and chase the game. They'll let Leicester come on them, and they'll try and counter-attack. Be interesting. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, though.
Where did he? Well, I just don't. I don't think Crystal Palace look great at the back, so that's why I think Vardy might get at them. So I think there might be a couple of goals. But where did Maddison come from to
Norwich? So
Norwich,
he was doing great in the Championship, and I wanted Villa to sign him.
Yeah, you said in the last one.
And then he went to Leicester, and initially he did well. Then he was dropped for a while and never quite. He was always sub, never quite got in. I thought it'd be nice to get a little bit in there. And I'll be honest with you, I think he could suit a top 6 side. You know, one of the big boys.
I think if Leicester don't do well this year and start going backwards, then there's a chance that people will start going in for him. Maybe not this transfer window, but obviously down the road. So the next game is really important for both teams. It's Man United versus Bournemouth. So United in 5th, Bournemouth in 19th. So Bournemouth have got to win, and United have got to win to keep the hand in for Europe. So I think this could be a really good game because Bournemouth on their day are a decent side. Again, I don't think they've been playing that well. They've lost all 3 and they got beat 4-1 by Newcastle, which I thought Newcastle were great in that game. But United have now started playing well. But you've got to think that Bournemouth have got to come out all guns blazing, haven't they?
Bournemouth just haven't. They're really, really struggling. I don't get it. They're under pressure. They haven't got a massive squad. Financially, they'll be in massive trouble if they go down. You'd think that everyone there's all be pulling in the right direction and be wanting to smash the way, through everyone that comes up against them. And I'm just shocked that they're just rolling over and dying. They literally are. Newcastle battered them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do we think of Eddie Howe?
I like him, but I don't think. Well, so one of it, he's meant to be a good people manager, but I just don't really understand his tactics at times. Sometimes he makes substitutions. I'm thinking, what game are you watching?
I think Bournemouth are too open. I think he wants to play this expansive football, and I think they're getting found out. And I think United are in that rich vein of form at the moment, and I would think United might get 4 goals here.
Well, I also don't know. I don't like Eddie Howe with regards to the transfer market. If he's making the decisions on who they're buying, he's wasted a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money on really mediocre players that he's hoping are going to be better in the future to sell on. Like, he gave us how much money for Solanke? He gave us 15 million for Jordan Ibe, who they've just released. They've let go for nothing.
Yeah, so I think there's some wages off the bill. Yeah,
and I think there's something quite gone on there because Jordan Ibe didn't quite make it at Liverpool. Yeah, after doing quite well to begin with.
You mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, didn't you, Daz? About Jordan. No, it was actually when you and me were watching the game. You were saying there's something going on with Jordan Ibe.
I think there is, because I think that the lads either got injury issues or off-field issues, because you just don't go from being, breaking into Liverpool, being decent. And I think when he went to Bournemouth at 50 million, people were like, that's a good signing. That's actually a good sign. He'll do well there. And he hasn't. And so you start to think there's something else not quite right.
What a piece of business for Liverpool, though.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And he put a massive sell-on fee on as well.
Yeah.
But did he?
Well, not getting any of that, are they?
No.
So Bournemouth are on 27 points. So, I mean, you've got to think that they are at least 2 wins and a couple of draws away from being safe. I just don't know whether they'll get that before the end of the year, the way they're playing.
Do we know they're running, Bournemouth's?
No. We know obviously their next game is Man United. I can tell you.
See, I just...
Go on.
So I just think with Bournemouth is very similar to Villa. Really, there's not enough quality, and there's not enough quality in the team. And if you get one or two injuries, they're going to struggle. And playing as expansive as they try and do, they're going to get caught out. There's the guy at the back, Aki, is it?
Yeah.
He's been touted to go. I know you're talking about transfers in a minute, sorry, but he's been touted to go back to either Chelsea or someone, or City. We're looking at him. Chelsea was something like 50 million or something ridiculous.
He's a quality player. He's not 50 million worth. Not a chance.
He is, and it's interesting because didn't he leave there originally, Thomas?
Yeah, for buttons, compared to what they're looking to buy him back for.
That business would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the biggest problem that they've got is they've only got Josh King that scored in the goals.
Yeah,
they haven't got enough goals right the way through the side. And as we all know, if you're not scoring goals, you're not staying in the league.
Yeah.
Well, there's their running. They've got United, then they've got Tottenham, then they've got Leicester, Man City, Southampton.
Oh, they've gone.
They've gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how they get out of that. I mean, that's terrible running.
I think at a push they might get a point or two.
Maybe.
At a push, but
wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, another game that is really interesting this weekend is Wolves versus Arsenal. So I know you fancy Wolves, Thomas, as an outside bet. So they've obviously won all three. They've beat West Ham, Bournemouth, and Villa. Sorry, Daz. And Arsenal have won the last two after a slow start. So they won the last one 4-0 against Norwich. I think this is probably the game outside of obviously City and Liverpool tonight. This is the game of the next few days. It looks like a quality game. This will be one to watch because I think Wolves going forward look fantastic. I don't think they look as good at the back, but also Arsenal look useless at the back.
Yeah.
So I fancy a high scoring game here. I think this is, that you're getting 3, 4, 5, 6 goals in the game.
So looking at Arsenal, the last few games, against the decent sides that play decent football and create space and drag them wide and stretch them right across the pitch, they really struggle because they haven't got enough leaders. David Luiz at the back isn't the leader. We've talked about him and slagged him off enough. But right the way across the park, they've got a soft centre to the midfield. So they haven't got no one that's commanding and running the team right the way through the side. And then they've got Aubameyang up front, who's the captain, who, if he's on his game, he's brilliant. If he's not on his game, there's no point. He might as well be on the bench. Against the team that are just full of pace and power. And actually, when the ball breaks down, they're actually in a great formation. They're always solid. They're really hard to pick off. And against the better sides, they play a bit more conventional to make it harder for the teams to break through them. Liverpool found it so hard against them on both occasions. Very lucky to it. I mean, we robbed one of the victories against them. And I think against Arsenal, they'll show Arsenal a little bit of respect because they're a big name coming into town. They'll hold the shape for long periods. But on the break and also going forward the way they play, they've got a great chance. And especially if Traore is given more than half an hour, they've got a great chance. I fancy Wolves and I fancy a lot of goals as well. You're right.
Yeah, I'd agree with Thomas on that. I think Wolves. A little mention there to Connor Cody, by the way, who when he played the other night, his passing range was phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, he was a midfielder, wasn't he?
Yeah, centre mid, and what he's done very well, I think, Connor Cody, is he dropped down to Wolves in the Championship, and then he's built a career for himself as a centre half, and I just think he's almost like a Carragher, but with a better passing range, if that makes sense. He's... Yeah. Sorry, Thomas.
I can only pass the ball down the line, Tom. Come on.
But his passing range... No, I'm not slagging him off. I'm just saying, Connor Cody's passing range is brilliant at the back. Quality. And he's got players there who he can pick out from 40, 50 yards. Thomas mentioned Traore. He's going to frighten David Luiz. And I can see a sending off for Arsenal.
Really? Well, that's a nice shout. Well, do you know what, though? A lot of credit's got to go to, I don't know his surname, but Nuno, the Wolves manager. He's quality. So he's came in. He's seen the quality that Cody's got in midfield and just thought, you know what? You're a cracking player and you're dead versatile. Let's move you to centre-half. It wasn't his decision to go to centre-half. The manager come in. He thought he was going to be on the way out and said, no, you're going to play in the middle of a three and you're going to play at the back and you're going to run the game for us. I mean, that's quality. I mean, to be able to, from the outside coming in, within the first couple of weeks, be able to look at the team and go, you know what, you're no good there, but you know what, I really like you here. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah,
and he deserves a lot of credit for adapting and also shining in that position. He did a brilliant, he was on Sky and the interviews were brilliant. He was, talking well about Liverpool and his schooling and his being brought up through the academies and how he played football and being able to adapt. And it just goes to show because he's proved it.
Yeah, you've got to think that he is if Wolves don't continue to do well, he's got to be a target for one of the top five, hasn't he?
Possibly.
So the next game is really interesting from your perspective as well, Daz. Chelsea in 4th, Watford in 17th. And Chelsea obviously have just lost to West Ham, so are going to come out, you would think, wanting to win that game, because again, they've got to win to try and get a spot in Europe. And Watford have drawn 1 and lost 2 since they come back, so they're not playing that well. And their running looks rough as well. So they've got Chelsea, then they've got Norwich at home, which you've got to think is a win. Then they've got Newcastle. I think Newcastle are doing well.
Yeah.
They've got West Ham at West Ham, and then they've got Man City. I mean, that's a difficult 6 games. That.
Yeah.
Games.
I'll be on the phone to Frank this weekend, giving him my thoughts on tactics for the game.
Is he your mate as well?
He's my mate as well. I'm very well known in circles. I just hope Chelsea bounce back. Chelsea in the games need to get an early goal to settle them down, to get them playing. When I saw them against West Ham, they played nice football, but didn't always go anywhere. And I think that they need to look at the penetration more in the game rather than possession. I think Frank's gone out and bought that striker for up front, Werner. Yeah. He also needs to go out, I think, and buy a wide player, because Williams going to go. Alfie.
They bought that Ziyech, or I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, from Ajax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quality player.
Like a decent player as well.
Quality player.
But I like, is it Pulisic, the American guy?
Yeah, Pulisic.
I thought he was excellent.
Pulling in, mate. He was, see that the penalty he got yesterday, was really fast feet.
Yeah.
So I think Chelsea are in a good position. I just think, again, they're lacking a striker. I think they've got 2 average strikers. I think they need someone with a bit more about them to really push them in, to get them into the top 4.
Imagine a Pulisic with like a Drogba or someone like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
They need someone like that target man who's a bit angry as well.
Yeah.
Simon, I don't know if we know a target man who's angry on our podcast. But
we've probably got a couple on the Facebook group. We'll put a call out for Frank. The Sunday game is it's Sunday's going to be a really good day. There's games on all day. First game is Burnley versus Sheffield United. Burnley in 9th, Sheffield United now in 10th, because they're not doing that well. So Burnley have won the last 2 against Watford and Crystal Palace, and Sheffield United, as we know, have not been doing that well. Drawn 1 and lost 2. I think that's a Burnley win.
I think that's a draw.
I think I'm not going to watch that.
I think that's a good choice.
I think I'll be doing my podcast then or something, because it just honestly, unless you followed them teams, there's nothing inspiring you there to watch that early, is it?
No, there's not much in it, is there?
It'll be 5-5 now. One of the best games you've ever seen.
Let's hope so. Okay, so then the next game is Newcastle versus West Ham. So Newcastle not so interesting, although I think they're playing really well at the moment. But West Ham are in 16th, so they're teetering on the brink. But West Ham have not done well. They've won 1 and lost 2. And Newcastle obviously have done well and beat Bournemouth 4-1 in the last game. What are you thinking there?
Thomas?
I really like the Alan St. Maxim and Almiron at Newcastle. 2 quality players. They've found their feet in the league. They've got fast feet, great vision. Now started scoring, both of them. I think he got Almiron come from the MLS. And I really like him. He looks a decent player, and I think if he was put in a better side, he'd actually shine. I think he's that good. I fancy Newcastle. If it's at home, I fancy Newcastle.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Newcastle hopefully have a bit too much for them. But what's interesting is I think the players are now playing for Steve Bruce, and what will be interesting if the takeover goes ahead. Obviously, the new people coming in will probably want to get rid of Steve Bruce, because they'll want one of these fashion managers to come in, someone with a name.
A marquee manager.
Yeah, but I think sometimes that can go against you, because they'll lose the dressing room and you don't have time in this new season. I'd almost give Steve Bruce another year.
I would definitely. I think he's doing all right. They're playing well.
Give him a bit of money. Yeah, give him a bit of money. I'm not saying give him loads, but, go down the back of the couch, see what you can find. But I do think Bruce deserves to be given a little bit of money. And they're only about, I think, again, 3 or 4 players to be in a a top 8 side, top 10 side, you know, and not have any worries.
Yeah.
I think he's done a brilliant job and he deserves loads of credit. They were really struggling and he turned them round. They're very hard to beat. They're scoring loads of goals now, which they were struggling earlier on in the season. They're looking great and he deserves the credit and hopefully he does get an extra 12 months at least.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, the next game is Southampton, Man City, and we're going to predict this one as part of the football forecast. And we'll do the scores on the doors in a minute, Daz. But City, obviously, in second, Southampton in 14th. Southampton haven't got a massive amount to play for other than positions and a bit of money. City look really good other than the game against Chelsea. They're looking quality. Their finishing is decent. De Bruyne's playing really well. I mean, they've both won 2 and lost 1, but City look great. I think they're going to win that 2 or 3-0.
Yeah, I think City's possessional stats will be something like 70%, I would imagine, against Southampton. Southampton will sit back, keep it tight, try and get them on the counter-attack. But if attackers come too far back, they'll have no one to hit. And a lot of teams against City do that and they just give the ball back. So I think City... I need to get some points on the door, so I'll wait to see what you two go for.
Danny Ings hat-trick. Danny Ings. 3-0 Southampton. Liverpool are going to run the legs off them tonight. They're going to be absolutely knackered. The subs coming in, even though they're great for City, they're going to be a bit disheartened because they didn't get to run out against the champions. And Danny Ings is going to score an hat-trick, and he's going to take the lead in the gold boot race.
So you're going for 3-0 Southampton?
No, I'm only joking.
He's bottled it again, Simon. He's bottled it again.
3-1 City.
Okay.
Hang on. Write that down. 3-1 City.
Do you want me to go next?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, I'm going 3-1 City as well.
For goodness sake.
I see what you're doing here. Now that you've took the lead.
Yeah, he's going for what you're going.
He's just covering so that I can.
No, so I was. So I originally thought 3-0, but I actually think Danny Ings is absolutely flying at the moment, and I think City are there to be got at the back as well. I think they'll have too much for them, but he might grab a goal, and I'd love to see him score another couple as well.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb again because I need to get some. I'm going to go 4-1 City.
Oof,
well, that's not on a limb, is it?
No, that's probably more likely.
Yeah.
All right, so the next game, which we know Daz really wants to talk about, is Liverpool-Villa.
Sorry,
so Liverpool.
Someone's at the door, so I've just got to go.
Liverpool are in first, just in case you haven't checked the table for a while, Daz.
Oh, I never get that far up.
Yeah. Villa are in 18th, obviously teetering on the brink of dropping out of the league. How do you think that's going to go, Daz?
I think it's a funny one. I think Liverpool will come out to want to prove something just because they want to go unbeaten or certainly don't want to lose against us. But I hope they've gone on holiday. I really do. I hope Jurgen says to them, "Have a week off, lads. We'll bring some of the kids in. You take Salah, off you go. Go and have your holidays." I don't think he will, because I think knowing Jurgen like I do, he'll want to go out and he'll want to go out and stuff us about 4-0, I would imagine.
Okay, so what are you going to go for?
As I said, I think they'll stuff us about 4-0.
All right, Tom?
I think it'll be a lot more difficult than that. I think early in the season, Villa were very unlucky to get beat. I think 2 very late goals, Robinson and, was it Mane? Yeah, header from a corner in the last minute or something, 94th minute. So Villa have got a lot to play for. Liverpool will show everyone respect till the end of the year, and they'll have their own personal goals, like Salah wanting to get the golden boot, and the team will want to break City's record to prove that they're one of the best to have won it. But because there's a lot on the line, and Villa are not going to want to get beat, I think it's going to be close. I still think Liverpool are going to edge it, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as what Darren thinks. I think it's going to be like 2-1 or 3-1 Liverpool. I'm going to say 2-1 Liverpool.
Thomas, if we score a goal against Liverpool, I'm going to go out and buy you a drink.
What? Coke?
Yeah.
Water, mate. There's a tap here.
So I don't think Villa will score. I just don't think they look great going forward, unfortunately. And Grealish is the only real outlet for them. And I just think he'll have the legs run off him against Liverpool. I think the way Liverpool play the game, if he plays Grealish in the middle of the park, Grealish won't touch the ball. If he plays Grealish out wide, then he won't get involved in the game enough because he'll be tracking a fullback or one of our forwards too often. So I actually think we'll beat them 3-0. And I want Villa to stay up, but I just think even on a bad day, Liverpool have got too much for them.
Yeah, I think you look at your games all running. I think we've got Liverpool, then we've got United. We play West Ham at the last game of the season, which could be the decider who stays up.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. As long as it's in your own hands, that's what you want, Darren. You want to be able to make sure when it comes down to it at the end, it's in your own hands to be able to. And if you go down, then fair enough, you just weren't quite good enough. But I want you to stay up, Darren, because I want a 3 men in a football day out at Villa Park next year.
It'll just be like, do you know what it'll be like, lads? It'll be like 3 best friends.
Oh, brilliant. Let's not publicise that podcast, though. All right, so the last game that we're going to talk about is Monday night, which is Tottenham versus Everton. So Tottenham obviously in 8th, Everton are in 11th. They could do all right if they go on a run between now and the end of the year, but not got a massive amount to play for. Tottenham are not looking great since they come back. Although they've won a game and drawn a game, I just don't think they look good at all. I think Kane looks totally off the pace. Last time we looked, they were getting beat as well by Sheffield United. Everton looked really good against Leicester. I'm going Leicester. I'm going an Everton win away at Tottenham. 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah, I think Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are really flying, doing really well together, playing well as a partnership. There's definitely a couple of goals in them. Kane's always good for a goal, but I just don't think Tottenham are playing well.
Thomas?
Oh, I disagree. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say 2-0 Tottenham. I think they're not playing so well now. I don't know what the score is. If they're still getting beat, they'll have something to prove, especially at home. I know they're not going to have any fans there to kick them up the backside. But it's really important that they try and push up to get closer to, European positions. And it's not going to be acceptable. Jose Mourinho is your manager and you're finishing 7th or 8th. It's just not acceptable. So they're going to have to try and kick on, and get on a decent run to the end of the season. And hope, for fingers crossed, he can, with City's ban, they might scrape a Europa League place or something.
Yeah.
So you go for 2-0 Tottenham?
2-0 Tottenham.
So I put a little shout out on our Facebook page earlier on, researching to try and get a couple of people involved to see what I'm going for. And after consideration, I think it's going to be a 1-1.
It's not a bad shout, actually.
Yeah.
So we're nailed on with those scores. They're taken down as you've recorded them.
I've been rewriting them down as we go
along. That Sheffield United are beating Tottenham 3-0.
No. I saw you smile.
I'm still going. I've seen him. Well, to be honest, I think we need a steward's inquiry anyway. Because what's Darren asking the Facebook group for help for? Because he's struggling that bad.
Let's figure out why he's asking the Facebook group, Daz. What are the scores on the doors, mate?
Okay, in no particular order. I'm involved in the league, but helping you two. As a Villa fan, we're very, very good at giving points to other people. I'm on, you ready for this? 2 points.
Well done, Daz. You're off the mark.
Off the mark with two team wins. We've got in second place, I feel like Euros this. No, in second place, we have Thomas on 7 points. And Simon had a great weekend in the FA Cup weekend. He's on 10 points.
Nice.
Ooh.
So it's going well.
So Simon, just agree with whatever Thomas goes for the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah, I'm in, yeah. No, mate, I'm going out for a big win.
Oh, I like it.
All right. So we want to talk a bit about, just for 5 minutes, on the big transfer rumours, because there's an awful lot going on towards the end of the year. But what teams will also be doing now is trying to set them up for next year. We talked before about Werner going to Chelsea. But the other one that has happened this week is Leroy Sané has gone to Bayern Munich for 45 million.
If he's over his knee, that is a brilliant deal.
Yeah.
Now, there was talk that Liverpool had agreed with him to come to Liverpool, and City wouldn't have it. And he dug his heels in to say, I want to move. And that's why they've lowered the fee for Bayern Munich to come in. Now, I don't know whether Liverpool had the money to get him or go in for him, because it doesn't look like they've got a lot of money. So I just think that's a great move for Bayern Munich.
I think so.
Do you not think that's almost setting up to go for, is it Sancho to go to City?
Well, see, that was the other one as well. They
Can't do that, can he?
It's whether he'll go back to City. It's whether that'll be the way he goes. That's what's his name? Pepper's come out and said he decided to leave. Why would he come back?
Yeah, and why would they sign him for? If they get asking for 100 million when he went for nothing.
And it's the three teams that are in for him is City, Liverpool, and United.
Well, haven't Liverpool said? Yeah, even Liverpool said they're not paying that money.
Yeah, not a chance.
Yeah. Jürgen said he'd love to see him in a Liverpool top. He'd look great in it, but he doesn't think the finances are there for him to do it this year.
Yeah,
but he doesn't know what's happening in the future. The other thing is United. I don't know if they leaked it to the press. I don't know if they're haggling to try and reduce the fee to say they're not willing to pay no more than 50 million for him.
Really?
So United have come out this week and said that. So
do you think they're calling the bluff a little bit? See, how desperate are Dortmund for money?
I don't know. I think they're the biggest supported club in Germany, aren't they? I know Bayern Munich are the richest club, but I think Dortmund are the biggest supported club in Germany. I don't think they're short of cash. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get into the German football on the telly. Even Dortmund were the only team that I actually wanted to watch, but that's only because of the link with Jürgen. It wasn't great. I mean, I think the top teams just stand out massively there, don't they?
I think the difference is, I think the Premier League, anyone can beat anyone on the day.
Yeah.
Generally, but I think the German League, very much like the Spanish, French, the other European side, they have about maybe 4 or 5 teams in it.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's more like, when United, when they went on the run of winning all the leagues and they were the richest club in the world for a time, and they used to just buy the best players from their nearest rivals to boost their squads, like the Van Persies and others. I just think it's more like that over there in Germany, but it's on a bigger scale because Bayern Munich are that rich compared to
maybe
the other teams.
So the other big one, potential Daz, is one of yours, is Grealish, 80 million to United.
Yeah, and
rising to 80 million to United.
Yeah, I think it'd be initial fee of about 50, I would imagine, and then add-ons. If we get relegated, I'd let him go. Yeah. I think for 2 reasons. One, we'll probably need the cash, although we have got massive backers, but whether they step back a bit with the money situation. And the second thing is, you know what, he deserves a little chance to see if he can have a go with the big boys. And if he gets into the United side, that's getting to be quite a young, youthful side. With a couple of United players coming through the ranks. It'd be interesting to see how he does there if he plays in the number 10 position.
Do you know what, Daz? From what I've seen since the lockdown, I wouldn't give you the tenner for him. I don't rate him at all. He hasn't. I don't know whether he's just not. The team in general are just not playing well. But we keep on shouting for him to grab the game by the short and curlies and drag Villa on or snatch a win or do something magic, create a goal, score a goal. And he hasn't looked like doing anything. The only thing he does really well is buys fouls. I think he's 50 fouls ahead of everyone in the league for the most foul player in the Premiership. Other than that, he's done nothing to inspire me to say I'd spend money on him. And
totally agree.
Do really well.
Yeah, Thomas, I totally agree. I don't think he's done anything, but I do think he's playing with poor players, and I think he's playing out of position.
Yeah, and I also think then you look back at, for transfers, if people are looking at Grealish, and they've got the option of him or Maddison, they're going to go for Maddison every day of the week.
Yeah, because he delivers.
They're very similar. Yeah. So Maddison is probably going to go for big money rather than Grealish.
It's whether Leicester will let him go.
Yeah, well, obviously that's that. Yeah.
That's the difference between him and Grealish. Grealish will be on the market, whereas Maddison might not be on the market.
Can I throw you an idea out? I really rate this player, and I think he deserves to be at a top club. Ward-Prowse.
Do you know what? So, on the ball as a set piece taker, he's outstanding. His free kick taking is probably as good as there is in the Premier League, but I don't think he does a massive amount on the ball in open play.
See, I think
certainly not as much.
Yeah, I think if he had 1 or 2 better players making better runs, I think he could pick them out. He almost reminds me of like a young Glenn Hoddle. That type of player. He's just a footballer, and I rate him highly. And I think if he gets, even if I was Everton, go after him, because I do think he can. With Everton, he'll have 1 or 2 runners off him, and I think he'll play in that centre mid. He's got legs on him. He can hit a ball. He can pass a ball. He sees the game. I like him a lot.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so go on.
I've got a decent transfer one, Simon, for you.
Go on.
So the rumours was, or I've heard the last couple of weeks, is Willian is going to Liverpool on a free. Now, there was talk of him going to Barcelona, and Barcelona had bid, hadn't they, over the last couple of years to try and get him. Now, he's run his contract down, so he's going anyway. He's signed to the end of lockdown. Liverpool haven't got a lot of money. They're not looking. They need someone to cover because Shaqiri's going to be going. I think he's going to shoe in at Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not wearing red next year. What do you think?
It's just whether he'll go that way, and they'll let him go that way. I mean, I guess they can't stop him, but maybe there's something in that, maybe, but I just don't know whether that'll come off.
I think it'll come down to whether he wants to play every week or not. Because he wants to play every week, he's not playing for Liverpool.
No,
well, he's not going for Barcelona then.
And that's what I'm saying. He needs to look carefully at his career. He's 32, isn't he? He wanted a 3-year deal at Chelsea. That's what I heard. And he wants a 3-year deal wherever he goes.
Hey, Simon, it looks like Darren's listening to his producer saying, tell me how much we wanted on that deal. Darren, he asked for 3 years, and Frank said, no, you should know this, he's your mate.
I've just had Jürgen on the phone then, and he's saying, we're not going in for him.
Brilliant. I love that.
I wouldn't be surprised, I tell you.
So here's another one, and this is two moves. So firstly, Arteta has come out and said Aubameyang is happy to stay, but what he's not talking about is how much money he's asking for to stay because of what the other idiot is being paid to sit on the bench. But there's also talk of Griezmann going to Arsenal. So I think if Aubameyang stays, Griezmann doesn't go to Arsenal. If Aubameyang goes, that's probably not a bad move for Arsenal.
It's a brilliant move, because if you're going to lose someone like Aubameyang to bring a Griezmann type who's used to being a talisman for Atletico, you know, a team that are punching above the weight, they haven't got the financial backing like the very, very top teams in Spain had, and he dragged that team to nearly greatness on a number of occasions and did so well for France. He'd be an amazing sign. He'd be amazing signing for any one of the top four if he was available. And I think if Aubameyang goes, and I just can't see him going, why would you want to go to that sinking ship, which is Arsenal?
But actually, isn't it not one of the cases where you're only going to go up? It's now not a bad time to join Arsenal because you're thinking they've got a new manager, Arteta, like the way he does, like the way he plays, like the way he coaches. It'll almost be, you'd have to get guarantees in who else he's going to sign.
Well, if he goes, it depends if he goes to, because Aubameyang is a, I know you're not a massive fan, Daz, but I think he's a quality footballer. So it depends who would come in for him and who he would go to, because if he's not going to go to a top club, then it's pointless moving. And you're right. You know, there's a potential positive turn for Arsenal coming, but it's got to be bad to be in that team at the moment. I know they've just had a win, but they have not looked good at all. They look really poor.
No, and again, I think it comes down to Arteta convincing players he's going to sign four or five players in the summer who are going to be quality. They've got to sign a leader, no matter what. They've got to go out and buy someone who's going to lead that team, whether it's a forward, a centre half, centre mid, whoever. They haven't got one at the moment. He needs to go and really look and find out what he wants. Do
we need a midfield leader like Tony Adams?
He would be ideal.
You know what? I don't think they're going to sign. If they do make any signings, I think that's why the panic signing now, and they're signing all these loans to make sure that they've got players in ready for next season, because I don't think there's a lot of money out there. I don't think there's a lot of money out there, and Arsenal have struggled to pay the money over the number of years, and now with this coronavirus and how much has impacted the economy all right around the world, I don't think there's a lot of money out there, and I certainly don't think there's a lot of money for Arsenal to be going out there making big signings.
Yeah, you're right.
They sell. So they can't be making promises. It's got to be on the proviso that you're coming in to play for Arteta and you want to play for him, rather than, listen, we're going to be signing this fella, because it's not happening at Arsenal, I'll tell you now.
But I do think, though, if Aubameyang stays, he's going to want 300 or 400 grand a week.
He's going to want at least 250, isn't he? Because if the other idiot's on 300,000,
I'd get rid.
Surely.
I'm telling you now, he'll. If I was Aubameyang, you push for a Real Madrid this summer. You get him for half the price that he's worth, so the 50 million. I don't know. I know he's getting old now for the price and that they're paying for him. But I'd be pushing. If I was Aubameyang, I'd be going to Real Madrid if they wanted him, or one of the top sides, for half the price that he'd be worth if he had 5 years left on his contract. Or if no one massive is coming in for you, you sit in your contract. You run it down for the final year, and they sell you in either the Christmas transfer window, or they let you run to the end of the season if you've got a chance of getting to Europe. And then you pick wherever you want to go, and you get the best deal you can for the last contract of your life or your last play.
Well, now we know we don't want to let Thomas's contract run till the last year. That's because he will sit there and won't go anywhere unless we pay him off.
I've heard by our executive producer. Hang on. Yeah, I've heard by our executive producer Cal that he's on a 10-year Alan Pardew deal. So we've got 9 years left for them, Si.
And we know he loves Alan Pardew.
Hey, do you know who's also on a boss deal like that? That Potter at Brighton.
Really?
So, yeah, he got a 7-year deal.
Wow.
7-year deal at Brighton. I was shocked.
Yeah, well, he's doing well. Okay, so a couple more. We won't talk about these, but they're still interesting. Coutinho to Liverpool is still around. Milic from Lazio to Tottenham. And they're talking about putting Moura in as a part of the deal. I don't think you want to get rid of Moura at this stage, but Milic looks like a decent player. Torres from Valencia to either Liverpool, City or United. Liverpool are interested, but I think City are probably top of the list to get him. And then the only other one is that Weghorst from Wolfsburg, who scored a load of goals, and Newcastle and Arsenal are both interested in him again. I think that probably depends what happens with Aubameyang and also what happens with finances. To your point, Thomas, I agree. Businesses don't have a load of money. And when you've got a business that is built on the fans and then being able to spend money and what the economy looks like, it's not the same anymore. Football is going to be very different coming out the back end of this crisis.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like we've seen today or yesterday, Wigan have gone into administration. And Wigan, from my eyes, I'm not a big Wigan fan, but looking at them, they've always been a well-run club. They've always, they've never had any financial issues. And for them to go with the infrastructure that they've got, it's a scary thought for what could be happening, further down the leagues. And one for our previous discussion when we were talking about should football come back or not come back, and these teams are, teams are going to be folding left, right, and centre if we're going to go up.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is the impact that has as well on the rugby league side of Wigan. Is it just a football club, or is it the whole Wigan as a sporting club? Because
Wigan's owned by Ian Lanigan.
But isn't it not linked to the rugby league club?
Just the stadium. I think they hire the stadium.
Yeah, they share the stadium.
They run financially separately.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but you're right. We're going to see more of that. You're getting businesses going out of business and going bust. Same are going to happen in football.
Yeah.
We talked about it when we first started doing these podcasts. People were surprised that organisations were making business decisions. Well, it's a business. And if the finances are not there, you can't run that business.
Yeah.
All right, Daz. So what are your final thoughts before we wrap up?
My final thoughts are it's going to be, I think, a difficult weekend for the teams in relegation. I'm hoping and I'm praying and I'm crossing everything that Villa turn the corner pretty soon. Otherwise, it looks as though it's relegation for us. And fair play for Liverpool for winning the league.
Thomas?
Thanks, Darren. These last 7 days have fulfilled a childhood dream. I've seen Liverpool win the league. I'm absolutely delighted. I was sore in my head and my liver for a few days afterwards. It's just amazing. It's just a shame that it's happened in this climate. And I'm sure we'll talk about this more when we talk about Liverpool and why they won the league in a future podcast. But what a great week. Well done, Liverpool.
Yeah, it was an amazing week. You're right, it does. The opposition fans do like to talk about it being a tainted Premier League. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, it's great to win it. It's been 30 years. Great to see that team get reward for what they've done this year, because they were amazing before the crisis and they've continued to do well since. Be interesting to see how they get on tonight against a quality Man City team. Hopefully it's a really good game. We'll do another one soon, and next week we will do one on Liverpool and them winning the Premiership, and we'll look at their players, how they've influenced the team, what the other teams have done around them, and why they've done so well this year. So
just on that side, I'm not here next week.
Yeah, I mean, that one will be called Two Men and a Football Talking About Liverpool.
2 men and a Villa. Know it all.
All right, lads. So I'll see you on the next one.
Speak to you soon, guys. Take care.
It easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.